Recently, a new balance patch dropped with a lot of new changes. But today, we will be covering the monster at the very bottom of this list.
Hello?
He got a buff to his skill 2, which now decreases the enemy's attack bar by 50% while under Berserk state.
Hey, that's pretty good.
So can I convince you to build Aegir? Aegir is an attack type unit with a first skill called Penalty, which attacks the enemy with an axe to inflict 2 dots for 1 turn with a 50% chance. A second skill called Wrathful Attack that attacks the enemy with a Wrathful Axe, leaving a branding effect for 2 turns and increasing your attack bar by 50%. While under Berserk state, it will now additionally decrease the enemy's attack bar by 50% thanks to the recent update, and a third skill called Confiscate that attacks the enemy 2 times, with each strike having a 75% chance to steal 1 beneficial effect from the enemy. Absorbs the attack bar by 50% each if you attack the enemy with no beneficial effects. Goes under Berserk state for 3 turns afterwards. Under Berserk state, the defense is decreased by 30%, damage dealt to enemies is increased by 100%, attack speed is increased by 20%, and HP is recovered by 10% of the damage dealt, and a leader skill that increases HP of ally monsters in guild content by 33%. He also awakens into accuracy, which is nice since he applies debuffs on all of his skills. I built him on Rage Blade so we can test his damage, but I would recommend building him on Violent for all the turn cycling he can do. You can also get 2 cool looking skins for him where you can make him either invincible or a captain. I'll let their skill animations play out in case you haven't seen them before, then we will get into the damage test. His first skill has an attack multiplier of 3.8. His second skill has an attack multiplier of 6.2. And his third skill has an attack multiplier of 4.0 with each attack. But remember that inside of the book we read, which is his third skill, he deals 100% more damage for 3 turns after using this skill. So let's test him again while he's under Berserk state. Water BK is a very versatile damage dealer and can be used in a lot of different dungeons. I'll pair him with free-to-play dungeon teams so you can copy these teams if you want. In Giants, he provides a few really nice things that are great against the mid-boss and the main boss. He can steal the Giant's attack buff and reduce his attack bar now with both his second and third skill, which basically prevents the boss from ever taking a turn. Also, the branding on his second skill is great for killing the boss faster. But I would argue that he's even better for dragons because he has element advantage, so his rune requirements are reduced to do what he needs to do, but everything I mentioned he does well in for giants also applies here, especially being able to steal the dragon's immunity if the crystal tower gets it off. He's also great against some of the rift beasts because of his big single target damage and branding effect. And if you need a solid backline damage dealer for a 5, I personally think he is now one of the best you can use for this role. There is more PvE areas you can use this guy, but those were just a few notable ones. Water BK is well known for being great for guild content, specifically for star and below battles. It makes sense because of his leader skill and because there is less targets for him to be able to single target control. I'll show a few examples of how you can use him while I do my guild battles for the day. I'm in a farmer's guild, so I will have to set up some stronger defenses to showcase against later, but for this match we can show off how his strips and attack bar reduction can really come in handy against things like Dark Phantom Thief and Camilla.
Lime in the coconut, you drink a bowl of.
Here's another example of a team you can pair him with. This one is commonly used in 4-star and below battles, both on offense and defense, but this match shows how Water BK can also heavily counter Junos. I'll show you one more against a defense I set up. He pretty much counters all 3 of these units, and being able to heal himself and steal the cookies buffs allows him to survive longer and easily deal with slow tanky teams like this one. But he doesn't have the same type of impact in Arena since there's an extra unit to deal with. You can make a team similar to this one, but it's only going to work against all fire, really slow, or low rank defenses. It can still get the job done, but I would say it's one of his weaker positions in the game. For RTA and pretty much for everywhere else, I would rune Water BK like this. He's one of those units that needs a little bit of everything as far as stats go, and having him on Violent gives him a chance to turn Cycle to the point where he can essentially become an AoE damage dealer. My rank is really low right now because Special League just opened up, so I will be doing my first few matches while showcasing Water BK. The first match was a great chance to counter this guy's team hard with some smart plays, but of course I went for the strip turn 1 like an idiot when I had the chance to steal the Beast Rider's immunity to prevent the Sierra from bombing. But I still ended up getting a good showcase even though this Riley was on triple Violent and Revenge. The next match, he pretty much got carried by the rest of the team, so I'll use this time to explain when and why you should pick him. I would suggest picking him as a niche last pick depending on how your opponent is picking. He can hard counter a lot of slow and tanky teams like the ones mentioned earlier in the video. So if you notice your opponent drafting things like Rakan or Water Monkey King, you can then go with Water BK to potentially force them to ban him or leave their team open to get soloed by him. A great way to describe him is as a Swiss Army knife that can do many different things, but he can be countered by almost any wind unit, so you don't want to show your opponent too early that you're going water. I know I just said don't show that you're going all water, but I wanted to make him work with this all water team since we are still low ranked. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video and I convinced you to build Aegir. His buff may go unnoticed by some, but I think we can all agree after watching this showcase that this buff was very significant for him. And let me know in the comments who I should convince you to build next.
It's hard being a slick head, but it's real being a slick head.